Many people think flipping's a great idea. Many people are wrong. Turns out common sense ain't that common. Hello there! Welcome to this week's edition of Money Matters, because after all, money does matter. So here's the question: to flip or not to flip? That is the question. What's a flip? A flip is when you buy a property, typically do it up and sell it. But I want to get into the nuts and bolts of a real world, real life example, property that we're working on at the moment. So let's take a tour around the property so you can actually see the property that we're talking about. Okay, so welcome to the house. So let's take a little walk through. As you can see from the front of the property, from the street, it looks like it's maybe a 2 up, 2 down. It's just a mid-terraced property, and this is number 14 Beckett Road in Doncaster. But now if you go around the back, you'll actually see, oh blimey, it's 3 stories high. So this was actually on the market, this was actually purchased as a 2-bed property. Now, if you've seen previous videos, this was actually purchased in September 2020, not by me, but my 12-year-old son. So it just happens, it's nice and local so we can film it easily. And it's a live question, you know, should he flip it or not? And if he's going to flip it, what's all the tax nuts and bolts, and how does he make sure that he doesn't end up paying, because most people don't know this, if you just flip it and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to end up paying 28% capital gains tax, and clearly no one wants to be giving 28% of their profits away. So you've seen the house, now let's get to the actual reason for this video. Flip, flop or not? That's the question, isn't it? So should you, or should Jude in this case, should my 12-year-old flip this property? Should he keep the property? And what's all the tax and the, you know, all the other considerations? Let's take a look at the real actual detail of this right now. Okay, flipping as a property strategy goes back for centuries. You know, it's almost as old as the hills. Hamptons predict that 23,000 properties are going to be flipped in the next 12 months. So, do you want to be one of those people flipping properties? Do you want to be one of the people paying top dollar to buy a property off a property flipper? And if you're going to flip properties, how do you make sure that you keep as much of that profit as possible and as little as possible is passed legitimately, fairly to the taxman? So let's do the numbers. So the property in question is number 14 Beckett Road. Now if you want to get into the background of how on earth did a 12-year-old buy it and what am I doing with my 12-year-old son buying a house, different video. Go and look at the other video. This one is totally focused on should he flip it, should he keep it, you know, all of these questions. So this is 14 Beckett Road. It was purchased as a 2-bed. Yeah, I looked at it and I thought, well actually, yeah, fairly minimal refurb, so quite a low amount of money on the refurb. They've decided to take it to a 4-bed, okay? So massive, massive extension of what my original scope was. The purchase price on this property, which was a very, very rundown property, it needed everything doing to it, was £50,000. It was actually an off-market deal. The vendor saw one of our boards, phoned us up and offered it to our estate agency. So, you know, we've ended up purchasing this property off-market. Part 2 of that is the refurb. Well, Jude, my 12-year-old, and the project team are actually spending a lot more money. They're doing it to a much higher spec because they can see a lot more value, which is fine. And I wanted this for Jude because I didn't want to do the project for him. I want him to make his own decisions. So they're actually going to spend £35,000. So I was originally going to spend roughly half of that, but they're adding a lot more value. So, and that includes all the legals, stamp duty, everything. So the total cost of this project will be £85,000. Now, when you're deciding should I keep it or should I flip it, you need to know something called a comp, a comparable. So here on the screen, you can now see some comparables, some in the same street, and you can see 4-bedroom houses, So the total cost to buy it and turn it into, so this was let's just make sure everybody understands this. This was a 2-bed, and this is converting it to a 4-bed, okay? And that's by reclaiming the cellar and digging out a nice light well, putting some proper windows in it, tanking it and all the other bits and pieces, And then the other one is simply by using what was a lounge, because there was a lounge and a sitting room, just convert that to a bedroom. So that's just dead straightforward. But look at the value of these comps in the same street. They're anything like £150,000. You've bought it, turned it from a 2-bed to a 4-bed, made it really nice instead of really run down, and boom! Look at that value add. 85 to 150. So let's take all the other numbers off and let's just focus on those two numbers. So the comps are saying 150k, and it gets shorthanded to comp like that. That's actually shorthand for comparable. So similar properties in a similar street. I was amazed when I saw that. So I actually want to do these numbers not based on 150. I'm going to downgrade it to 130. I think that's fair. That's what things are on the market for. But I'm just downgrading it to 130. So this is being, let's say, conservative, obviously with a small c. Next up, we know that the total cost of doing the property is 85,000. So if you flipped it, if you sold it for 130,000, minus the 85,000 that it's cost you, you would make a profit of £45,000. So 130 minus 85, 45,000. But you would have to pay something called capital gains tax. Now, if you're doing this frequently, yes, you've got CGT allowance. Yes, you don't have to pay capital gains tax on the first, I think it's £12,500 in a year. But of course, as soon as you do one, you've used up your capital gains tax allowance. So what you would then have to do is pay 28% tax on that £45,000 capital profit. By the way, CGT, the upper rate of CGT is 28%, so I'm assuming you've done a few of these, but it's only residential property that CGT, capital gains tax, is that high. It's normally lower than that. £45,000, just put that in, so that's the £45,000, okay, times 0.28, which is 28%, that would be 12,600 in tax, okay? So your tax bill on that property would be 12,600. So if I just minus that and add it to 45,000, so that means my net profit will be 32,400, which is nice. There's nothing wrong with that. As that American billionaire said, no one ever went bust taking a profit. And in case you're wondering where I am, by the way, this is just my lunch break on a well-through property. So that's why I'm here in the studio, and that's why you can see all this kit around the place. So I thought I'd squeeze in this Money Matters just from me to you, just as a little extra during the well-through property. For the flip, we've just identified profit after tax, £32,400. If we keep this property instead and put a mortgage on it, how much money can we pull out, and how does that compare, and the tax situation and everything else? I believe that if I push it, I could probably get some surveyor to value it £150,000. But let's be fair, £135,000. So I believe I can get it valued, and I can put a mortgage on it. I can put a buy-to-let mortgage on it. Or in this case, of course, Jude can put a buy-to-let mortgage on it. What kind of buy-to-let mortgage can you get these days? 80%. What's it going to cost you? 2.99%. Well, that was as of this morning. So just go and Google it, but you can currently get 80% buy-to-let mortgages. So I've got a £135,000 house, Jude has, times 0.8 is 80%, which means the mortgage would be £108,000. But do you remember from what we did before that the total cost of doing the project was the £50,000 to purchase it and £35,000 to do it up? So if you pull all your money out, you've spent £85,000 to do the project, which is the purchase plus the refurb. Hope this is making sense, everybody. So even though you're keeping it, after you've paid for everything, you would still get £23,000. So if you flip it, you get £32,000 using exactly the same price. If you keep it, you get £23,000. But this, my friends, is tax free. Zero tax because you haven't sold it. So you've just made £23,000 and you keep it, or £32,000 but you've sold it. So what do you give away if you've sold it? Well, you give away two things, classically. You give away your monthly profit and you give away your capital growth. So Rightmove, the biggest property site in the UK, predicts price increases of 8.8% this year in Yorkshire and Humberside. So how much would you be giving away if property prices go up by 8.8%? Is the first question. The second question is, how much monthly profit are you giving away? So before I lose it, I'm now going to put flip. Let's make it nice and clear for everybody. You make 32,400, keep, and you make £23,000 tax-free, but you've still got the house, okay? So what else do you get? Well, this house, keep it simple, will cash flow monthly profit after you've paid the mortgage and everything else. It will cash flow £300 a month, which is £3,600 a year, per year. So that's actually not monthly, is it? It's per year. So that's the first thing you're giving up. But the second thing you're giving up, if Rightmove are correct, is you're giving up 8.8%. Property start point that we're using here is 135,000 when it's done up as a nice 4-bed. It says 135,000, but now I need to multiply that by 0.088%, which is £11,800 a year that I'd be giving up in terms of capital growth. So the capital growth in 1 year, if Rightmove are correct, is £11,880. So I now need to add all those together. So that's my flip, and here is if I keep it for 1 year. 1 year, not forever, but for 1 year. So what's my total? It's 11,880 plus 3,600 plus 23,000 equals 38,480. So I can sell it and make £32,000, or I can keep it for 1 year and make £38,000. Now who's the numpty? Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that run through the numbers, and you can see, I'm sure, what I think, and you can see why I don't sell a lot. But please put your comments down below. I want to be working with you live, not for a few minutes like this, but for 2 whole days at Well Through Property. I'll be stood in this studio, you'll be at home in your pajamas, whatever, with your cup of tea and your rich teas, whatever it is. So I just wanted to let you in on the inside. But here is the total flop, because I'm not going to criticize anyone that chooses to flip. Here is the total flop, to not do either. Because I'm sure you'd agree with me, one property, all your money back, and £32,400 profit is flipping marvellous. Absolutely flipping marvellous. But I would hope to convince you, after spending a couple of days with you at Well Through Property, click on the link, it's just down below. I would far rather see you keep it, pull out £23,000 after 6 months when you remortgage it, then get an extra £300 a month, then get capital appreciation in 1 year of nearly £12,000 and become truly wealthy through property, because flipping might make you rich, holding will make you wealthy. Okay, so it makes sense. Hit the subscribe, hit the notification, bring your mates. This channel is going to blow up this year. 2021 is going to be your best year ever if you stick with us. Get yourself subscribed, hit the notification bell. I look forward to seeing you very soon. Okay, sorry, forgot. Also, join the YouTube community. Get in there, join our network. Tell us what you want. What kind of videos do you want to see? What kind of property deals do you want to see? What kind of obscene amounts of wealth do you want to see? I want to hear back from you. Feedback is the food of champions, and I want to be your champion wealth creator. See you soon.